So welcome and thank you for joining today. I appreciate so much that you're here. I asked you each to bring two things. The first was an idea, something you'd like to plan an event or maybe replan if you did one before that wasn't particularly successful, whatever your definition of success is. And the second thing was either a printout or maybe another screen, or just something to jot down notes with those worksheets I sent you talking about your event as we go through tonight's workshop and presentation. So if you could hold any questions you have until you see a white screen that says your turn or your event, let's get it to think about your event and maybe also to speak about it if you want to. That'll help me get a clean recording for everybody else who's watching the recording instead of the live version. So we'll hold questions if we can, either till the end or until those white screens that say your turn. So the word success, I use the term fitness/yoga events setting them up for success vaguely on purpose. Because success could vary person to person. It could vary event to event. You don't need to have a particular definition of what success means for you. Maybe it's revenue, maybe it's attendance numbers, maybe it's referrals, maybe it's something else altogether. The good news is you can likely take an event once you figure out kind of where you're coming from, put it on rinse and repeat and do it again and again after you've gotten an initial sense of what you want to do. I'm using the word event, by the way. You can sub in the word pop up anytime you want to. I looked up what actually is a pop up. It's an event that takes place kind of off the regular schedule, maybe in an unexpected place and time. So that is what I'm talking about, special events or pop ups, same thing. I have some friends in the business who call me a pop up queen, which I've never called myself that, but I'll take it because I do love doing these events and I absolutely love talking about them and sharing them. So let's start with this. On our first screen here, I'm showing a picture of me, and I wonder if you were to use a picture of you, do you have one in mind you would use? Let's say you're making a first impression, introducing yourself. How do you want to be perceived? My photo shows you that I'm a little playful. Who chooses a swing set for a headshot, right? The photographer's like, are you serious? The red lipstick, the fun, the little silly, that's part of who I am. That's very much why I chose this photo for these opening slides if I was using it as an introduction. Here I have some very basic details. Nobody wants the details unless they say, tell me more about your blah, blah, blah. So it says I can teach classes, I can personal train, I've got knowledge and experience, leadership, education, and career professionally that could lead to helping my fitness endeavors. That's why I included it. Soon I'll be adding 200-hour yoga teacher to this list. Next is a bunch of stuff that looks pretty stinking random, but it's not. These are all ideas I have that I could riff off of to hold an event. And in fact, I have riffed off of these quite a bit to hold events, whether it's the music theming, whether it's the particular movements we're doing, whether it's just like something to talk about. I do this stuff a lot. I'm a music lover, beer fan, all that stuff. Doesn't even say that I'm a Disney fan. I'm active in my church. I've sung in choirs all my life, alto here. It just gives you some basic things that I enjoy doing that could be connection points with other people at fitness or yoga events. So I'm going to ask you, if you were to write down a few things about yourself, you can do your credentials and your name later, pick out your picture later. What are some things for just a moment or two that you might do as interests of yours that could be things that bring people together and could be something you connect with at a fitness or yoga event? I'll give you just a few seconds. And most attendees or most venues won't really care about your number of years and your certification, which letters behind your name, but they want to know you have some experience in education. And they'd love to know, I think, about your interest that helps bring people together, kind of bridge those gaps. So moving on for now, my love of fitness events. If you saw me talking on social, you already know this, but I attended a while ago, probably 10 years ago, maybe more, a yoga event at a brewery. Stayed around after with my sister. When they opened, we had a beer, we had some pizza with our family. It was really cool. And I thought, hey, I could totally do this. So since then, my favorite type of event, not a surprise, my most successful, because I've done it again and again, is offering fitness classes at breweries. Not a shock, again, because I had lots of practice. I've also done some fundraisers and whatnot for my church and for other organizations. And it gives me kind of a good sense of what goes on, what works, what doesn't work for me, so I can help share that with you. I also discovered, so to speak, Warrior at a pop-up at a special event. My buddy Jackie was doing a rhythm and brews event, Warrior Rhythm at a brewery. It turns out it was her very first class teaching it. I had no idea at the time. And I was like, this is kind of cool. I dig this. And that one chance encounter at an event legitimately changed my life, changed my fitness career. So I hold events in high regard because of that experience. And maybe that's why I'm so hung up on doing them all the time. And in fact, finding other people to be instructors as well as friends and contacts at special events. So it's a big deal for me. All right. Suffice to say, lots of reasons to hold fitness events, and we're going to get into some of them. First of all, you can expand your reach, make more money. Coming up next, as well, as you might imagine, impact more lives, all the warm and fuzzy stuff. Fitness classes don't necessarily pay as well as I think they should. The amount of work you put into it is often way more than what you're making. So at events, you have more freedom to make your own money, set your own prices. You can also challenge yourself. If you're used to teaching at a particular venue again and again, the same studio, the same sound system, the same mirrors, getting out somewhere else off the schedule with different people who don't know your style, is a fun challenge, which is the next thing. I find it fun. Terrifying? I mean, sometimes. I'm a theater person. I like being terrified. Stage fright like becomes like a high for me. So different strokes, but I do think it's fun just to get out of the usual rut and do things differently. And then finally, you can grab videos and photos of yourself in a non gym setting, which can be really cool when it comes to promoting what you do out to the world beyond the people who know you and know you from the gym. So here's the recap. Any other ideas for things you might, reasons to hold fitness events besides expanding your reach, making money, challenging fun, and getting some footage? There's a lot of reasons to do it. And I'll bet you have your own you could add. Okay, so here's the deal. I think about when I was a kid and we'd have these glossy cards back in the 80s. You'd write down who, what, where, when, why. Like, you're invited to Amy and Karen's 11th birthday party at Deptford Skating Rink. And your hand would cramp up from scribbling the same thing again and again onto that card because you couldn't really use a ballpoint pen, but it was too small for Sharpie, so you did the best you could, you know? Ouch, hand cramping up. We're going to get into those same things, those same concepts, like you would on an old school invitation, but we're going to shuffle the order a little bit. Here we go. These are the basics to kind of get our head around the event process and what we're going for to help us be more successful with marketing and communication and succeeding. So here we go. We're going to start with why. Why is the most important thing, which sounds crazy. What do you mean why? This isn't what I charge most important. Isn't, getting the word most important. Why is the first thing. Because why informs everything else you do, your reason for holding the event in the first place. So we're going to spend a good amount of time on why, and look a little shorter as we go along through the others for what, who, where, when, how much, and RSVP, which is a bunch of extra stuff. We'll go through each of those categories. We'll have three main buckets. Might not be what you're expecting. Within each bucket, we'll talk about some considerations. And then at the end of each bucket, we'll do a recap and I'll give you some real talk and ask you to think about the event you're planning or replanning and where your event fits in those buckets. Okay. So when it comes to why, there's plenty of reasons to hold a fitness event. We're going to go through three main reasons, and you can find anywhere nuanced variations infinitely beyond that once you've established the appropriate goal, the reason you're having the event. So our first reason for why is one of my favorites. It is for a benefit or fundraiser. Something that goes toward a charitable cause. You're not keeping a dime of this. This is a great way to show your passion and skills while helping others. I'm going to recommend you pick an organization you believe in, maybe someone you've got a personal connection with in yourself, your family, your friends. It could be a small or large one, could be local or regional, it could be national or international. It could be a very well-established organization. It could be someone brand new who's just getting started. If you can get permission to use their logo, find out if they want to come and speak or present in some way, have a presence at your event. That's going to give them a chance to get the word out even stronger because guess what? They want this to succeed as much as you do. This literally benefits them by having a good turnout and raising lots of money. The reason I really enjoy benefits, besides the fact that it feels good, which of course it does, is because fundraisers tend to be easier for newbies or people who are out of your general range to come out and try it. Maybe they don't want to go to gyms because gyms aren't their thing, or they don't do yoga, or they don't do fitness. Well, guess what? If an event appeals to them because of the charitable nature, oh, I don't do yoga, but I love puppies. So of course I'll come to that event, that adoption event, to meet the puppies and play with the kitties or whatever it is. There's less pressure. It doesn't matter if you're out of shape, which of course we don't care about anyway, but some other people might. So there's less pressure to go to a gym and feel like a gym person if they can just show up, oh, I'm just here to support the charity. Are you though? Because you're still getting a class. And you, the instructor, still get to show what it is you do and why you're so amazing, which we already know. I will tell you, it's a little awkward going from charity to for-profit. I had this happen one time. Someone said at the brewery, this is a really great fundraiser. I loved it. It was for Breast Cancer Awareness Month for a local group, Inspiring Life Together. And they said, you said you have another one next month. What organization does that benefit? And I had to stop and I wanted to be like, my bank account? but I caught it in time and said, oh, that one's actually not a fundraiser. And they were like, oh, so I'll do another one of them soon. So I guess they think that I just go around doing fundraisers all the time instead of making any money of my own. Because some people think fitness instructors make like hundreds of dollars a class, which we know doesn't happen in gyms or studios. Anyway, I try to do a couple of fundraisers a year mixed in with other events for profit, so it's a nice balance. The second reason for why is for networking or exposure. Maybe you're debuting a new format or a combination of formats. I've been there for that. It's tough, but it's worth it. Maybe you're debuting a new product, you're representing a piece of equipment or technology or activewear brand or protein bar, or pre-workout shake, whatever it is, as a paid spokesperson, or perhaps just because you're a big fan. You could be helping a new or struggling business as a venue, helping them get some exposure. So if your point is networking or exposure, it's okay to charge something, but your number one priority may not be making a lot of money. Your priority may be more like getting really great contacts. People who are willing to be part of your event are also maybe willing to be part of your network and maybe become paid clients in the future, maybe become part of your business in some other way. So if networking or exposure is your goal, you want to make sure you allow for something like, we're going to stay in touch. Here's other promotions or discounts or ways for us to keep connecting in the future. Don't miss that part if you're trying to make connections for the future. And the biggest reason for why that I had to save it for last was for profit, to make money. Most of us, myself included, didn't get into fitness or yoga to make money. We did it because we love it. Oh, we still want to be compensated fairly for all the time and effort we put into it, all the money we put into getting trained and staying active, looking and feeling the part, getting there, being safe, insurance, music, all the things. So here's what I'm going to say about this one. Ready? It's okay to want to make money. This is a big thing in the yoga world, especially. Oh, yoga's about the spirit and yoga's about this. You're allowed to want to make money. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It's good. And in fact, here's another one. If your why includes making money, then don't give away your event for free. Even if you get pressured or bullied or guilted or suckered into it, you're doing this for the sake of making money to supplement that the gyms don't pay enough. It's okay. Don't give it away for free if that's part of your goal. I'm going to get back to this one with all my screaming on the screen. So events can be an incredible way to make money. In my area, and I know New Jersey near Philadelphia is not the worst. In my area, it's common to make $25 to maybe $40 a class. I spend a lot more time getting my stuff ready, driving to and from. I'm not even far away. It's still a whole thing. That's whether 3 members come or 30 come. It's the same flat rate. I've never worked at a place regularly that does a commission or any kind of bonus structure. The same exact content that I use at the gym to make $35 can make me, I'm not exaggerating, 3 or 4 times as much. I've made $180 at a special event before, clear. Not all the time, often 120 though, regularly. So yeah, I do these things regularly because it makes me some legitimate, decent money. There's different involvement getting it ready, of course. You've got to network, you've got to promote. For me, it's worth it because I happen to like the planning and promoting part. Maybe that's weird and that's okay, but I enjoy it. So finding attendees and having a good time with them in an unusual venue makes it worthwhile. So I really like it. Now, charging money can be weird, especially talking about the expense with potential attendees. But just because it's weird doesn't mean it's bad. And here's what I want to get through. You put a ton of effort into your craft, fitness, yoga, something nearly related, wellness, maybe. You deserve to get paid for it. So why not do an event where you can have some fun and get paid for it? So if someone isn't willing to pay you, they should miss out. If someone isn't able to pay you, can you come up with a creative solution that isn't giving it away? Could they be your helper? Could they set up the technology on a website because you don't have that particular skill? Could they take pictures and videos? Could they be at the front desk? Could they be coordinating, right? Could they be running things back and forth with you, helping you set up and break down? Find a way to make a trade so that you're not just kind of giving stuff away. It's a difficult precedent to get past. If they can't afford it, that's a different story versus if they don't want to pay you for it. They want to take advantage of you for free. So recapping our why, here's the 3 main buckets for why. And here's a little bit of real talk, probably a no-brainer. If you have your why in mind, you're less likely to lose track of the whole point, right? So I'll tell you something like I did a fundraiser where I was upset that there were only like 10 people signed up, but they were each donating 30 to 50 bucks a piece. So that's actually a decent fundraiser. The number of people didn't matter as much as the amount they were donating. The point is to make money. My why was a fundraiser. All right. If you have the opposite, if you're doing a networking event and you have a small amount of money coming in, but you're getting really great connections, that might be worth it as well. So just keeping your mind and your why in mind will help you stay consistent, organized, and on track. Okay, your turn. Thinking about the event that you brought with you as an idea to do or to redo, would it be for a fundraiser, for networking exposure, or to make money? It's okay to have more than one. So I'm thinking about a fundraiser I did for a local LGBTQIA plus organization. I raised $800 for Kaleidoscope. And this is the recommendation I got from other people who needed those services and who appreciated and valued them. At the same time, though, I had 25 people doing Warrior Rhythm and 23 of them had never heard of it before. So my main point was to make money for the organization. My secondary why was to get exposure for a new format I was representing. So any questions, comments? If not, we'll keep rolling. All right. Our next category is what? What does your event entail? This is not a trick question. It's a very simple one. If you can decide upfront or define what your event's going to entail, you can tweak it along the way. But if you can answer what is it now as part of the planning phase, you can better articulate it while managing, promoting, and marketing it. This also helps you kind of overdo it. If you find yourself going crazy too much stuff, scale it back. Wait, what was my whole point with this thing? What's it going to be? I'm going to eventually ask you to get your entire event that you're planning down to 1 or 2 sentences. Say it out loud eventually, maybe not tonight, but say it out loud. Practice, yes, talking to yourself. Same. People are like, oh, you're so polished on camera. No, I practice constantly talking to myself and to my dog and to my shower or whatever, Get the reps. And so when you need to say it out loud, you can. More about this later, about your event. But for now, let's look at our first what. So what is your event going to include? Probably a class or a session of some sort, and what? If it's the class and nothing, that's fine. It's all good. It's still a problem, still a special event, something that doesn't happen every time, every week. What if it's something that costs you and therefore you're charging your people, you're not giving it away, you're putting into the ticket price some other stuff? A class plus a food and beverage item, beer flight, just saying, glass of wine, smoothie, protein shake, maybe. Maybe there's a keepsake with your logo or the venue's logo on it. Maybe there's a hands-on project. I know somebody who did a bar event where they did like an hour-long bar class and then they did flower arranging. I'm not sure how that connected, but they said they had a good time. That's another person running it didn't make any money because she paid somebody to come and do flower arranging. That's not what I would have done, but I'm glad it worked out for them. You could also include a class plus a discount or promotion for something else in the future. And then it's on the recipient's responsibility to actually take advantage of it. So they decide, are they going to cash in? Are they going to waste it? Hey, you try, you offered it to them. You can also do something else entirely unique to your vibe, the venue, or the season. Class plus something else, maybe something unexpected. It also doesn't have to cost you a nickel. It could cost you nothing but time. Maybe you and the attendees have a class plus a Q&A or a discussion. Maybe it's a class plus a laser coaching session on the spot. Maybe a class plus a form check or a terminology review. I was thinking about if you were doing, say, nature walks, maybe your walk is the main thing, but the discussion about indigenous plants in our area and how dangerous it is to bring things from out of the area, and that could be part of it. If you were teaching something like Bollywood dance, or belly dancing. You could talk about the impact of those styles on American society, bringing them from one country to this one, and how people use them to stay culturally relevant, right? There's a lot out there to tie in your thing, your workout, into your expertise as well. And just because you're doing an event that includes fitness doesn't mean it has to be fitness related. Your extra thing you include with it could be something unpredictable, but still shows your personality and ideally fits the class in some way. It makes sense, in other words. No matter what you pick, your event should always include a heartfelt thank you, ideally an invitation to return with you for the next one. Stay in touch. See you soon. Here's our regular class schedule, making sure your attendees feel valued so they're willing to come back again and they can't wait to do it. The next what does it cost? This is a big question. We're going to talk more about it later. And your why that we just discussed does certainly impact. If your goal is to make money, it looks different than if your goal is to just make connections, right? You can consider pricing your event for free, charging a specific amount for a ticket, so to speak, or a space, or using a variable amount, also called a sliding scale. It's completely your choice. More on that later. But when it comes to pricing, I want to make sure you're not underpricing your tickets because you've got to maybe rent a venue, maybe you have ticketing or technology fees, other factors like decor, equipment inclusions, and more. You also want to consider your market and your part of the country, your country, the world does make a difference here. So you don't need to make it extremely expensive or extremely cheap unless there's a specific reason to do so. Like maybe your target audience has extra money or very little. That's a different story. But in general, if you have any sense whatsoever of what other people in the area are doing for a comparable event, that's going to help you make some choices. So I know that my bar at the bar thing, I charge $20 a person. I've seen it at 25 pretty regularly. So by being at mine's 20, the other person who does it is 25. It's not ridiculous. I'm not undercutting her crazy. I'm not looking cheap. I'm also not looking greedy by charging 50 for the same thing. Our final what special touches can you include? Things that nobody else would put into place exactly the same way. So if you looked at your event on paper and somebody else, it's the same thing, it's the same cost, it's the same venue, what's going to make yours different? Could be the inclusion, especially if it's off the beaten track of stuff. Could be the location, indoor, outdoor, the venue selection. Could be the time or the day when it happens, at sunrise, at sunset, at happy hour, on a holiday. Who knows? It could be the theme of your music, the dress, the decor. Your special touches don't need to be expensive. Your verbiage and language choices when promoting, your color choices, subtle factors, the pictures you use can make it feel wonderfully personal and incredibly unique. I'll tell you, I went to another person's bar, the bar type class, and it was fun. We had a good beer. I went to somewhere I'd never been before. That was great. But I noticed that it was like a couple of calf raises, a few leg lifts. Okay, time to drink. We started late, we finished early, and I was like, where's the workout? And what I came to realize is that maybe those people really enjoyed having a very tiny amount of exercise followed by large social time. But I said, when I teach these things, I'm going to keep doing what I do. I'm going to put my special touch is going to be you get the same work. I said it before, you're getting the same workout you'd get at the gym. You're just getting it at a brewery, or you're just getting it in my church basement for this fundraiser, whatever it is. So my special touches, you don't have to go hard if you don't want to, but I very much enjoy giving people a full workout experience as though they were in a gym. That's something that's unique to me and my crazy music stuff. So real talk, make sure you feel good about what you set up, right? So you're not going to get pressured into doing something you don't agree with. You're going to be on edge maybe about charging money, but you're not going to do something that feels wrong to you. It should still feel like your event, right? So it's uniquely yours. Even if your attendees or what's trending doesn't exactly match up, you're doing you. And you're feeling good about being authentic. I've gotten some pressure to lead more bar at the bar classes, but I am wholeheartedly looking to grow warrior in my area. So I'm doing more warrior rhythm than my audience wants. Am I potentially losing money? Yes. Am I gaining extra exposure and networking that I think is worth it? Yes. So I'm doing more warrior focused classes, warrior rhythm, warrior combat, mix of both, whatever it is. So I'm not letting the pressure get to me, even though it could help me make some extra money. That's my choice. Okay. Thinking about your event that you're planning or replanning, what are some ideas for inclusions, class, and what else? What are you thinking you might charge per person? And what are some special touches that you could put in that nobody else could replicate fully? I'll give you just a little bit of time to think about it. You can always jot it down now or come back to it later. And it's okay if it's crazy and it sounds weird. It's all right. All right, we're going to move on for the time being. Our next bucket is who. One big unknown factor when planning event is who's going to attend. What are they going to be like? We can't really iron that out in advance, but we can consider different groups in an effort to create a great turnout. This might not be what you're expecting. The first option for who is existing clients. They're existing fans. They love what you do and they follow you everywhere. I got some of those. It's very flattering. It's really nice. Maybe they show up to the gym for your class, even if it's not the best or the easiest time because they love what you do more than anybody else who does the same thing, but not the same way. They like the way you speak. They like the way you interact. They like your uplifting nature. They like your calmness. I'm not calm, but maybe you are. I don't know. Everybody's got their own thing. It's fun to get to know them better outside of the gym when you're not trying to get in and out of the studio and vacate right away. A pop-up gives you a chance to hang out with them a little, maybe to become friends besides just being their instructor. If you teach in more than one place regularly, you can invite new friendships to come together by connecting people from more than one spot and bringing them to the same event, inviting them to be part of it, get to know each other. They've got great taste because they have the same favorite instructor, which is you. Before promoting the event at your gym or studio, make sure it's okay to do it. Or if you don't want to make sure because it's not going to work out well in your favor, you can get a little bit more strategic if asking isn't going to work, right? You could connect with them on social media. You could talk it up in the parking lot or the hallway. Maybe getting people who are kind of a conduit, somebody who knows everyone. They probably, if they know it, they probably want to spread the word for you, right? Make sure that they hear you talk about it and they can help you spread the word. Maybe you mention it casually. I did this once and it was really great. You mentioned it casually without actually saying, come to my thing instead of coming to classes here. I did this once where I said something like, I can't wait to share this workout with you today. I'm going to use it again at the brewery on Sunday for my bar at the bar event. And somebody was like, did you say you're teaching a bar class at a brewery? And I was like, oh, you heard me mention that? Gosh, did I slip that out loud? And we're like, yeah, I want to go. Let's tell me about the details. So you never know, someone's going to bite on that very casual mention. The second option besides existing clients is, of course, new clients. And again, one of the biggest perks of special events and pop-ups, it doesn't need to just be people from the communities where you already teach. It's a great way to find and connect with new people. Now, maybe you reach new clients if you're promoting in conjunction with the fundraiser charity or with the venue, with another business partner. You're not pulling from the same pool again and again. It gets really old asking the same people, can you come this time? Can you come this time? I've done it, but I don't like to, but trust me, spreading it out, getting more people involved, whether it's their referrals and friends or people you get to know in other ways, is much healthier, much more fun for everybody involved. Often folks will be willing to try something new if it's not at a gym, if it's a fundraiser, if it's at somewhere unusual, if it's at a park, right? Somewhere that doesn't feel like the same old stuff. It's a little more interesting, a little more likely to take the time out of their busy schedules to give it a shot. There's less perceived judgment, but we know we're not judging, but there's less of that gym nonsense associated with going somewhere and showing up and being the new person. I've had a few folks tell me they came to my brewery events for the beer. They came back because they liked the way I taught. They liked the camaraderie. They enjoyed chatting. They liked the workout itself. After a while, it took them a while, but they started coming for the beer, ended up coming for the entire experience. And I think that's a win. And then finally, maybe most ideally would be a mix of both old clients or existing, I don't call them old, existing clients and new connections. Your current clients might feel like stars if you recommend that they stand in the front row of your class. Maybe they help you demonstrate. Maybe they show you some different options. And Anna here is going to show us what it looks like without having to balance on one foot. Oh, I get to be special. If they're on board with that, right? That means the newcomers have a chance to kind of stay in the back or around the edge of the room. They probably don't want to be featured if they're brand new anyway. So less pressure for them not being at anyone's sightline. You never know what camaraderie can form when folks with similar interests, which is you, or the class format, or the vocation, or the charity, whatever it is, when they come together. So there's this magical opportunity to positively impact your attendees, which is more likely a beautiful side benefit of your formal why. So let's look at our who and our real talk here. You can always encourage people to bring a friend, refer people your way. You don't have to do all the marketing yourself. You never did. If someone told you that, I'm sorry. I'm not talking about hiring somebody or paying for ads. I'm talking about asking for help or encouraging folks to please bring along a friend or six, whatever it is. You probably have people in your network who love to make connections. I'm one of those people, by the way. Yeah, because I'll talk to anybody and I'll enjoy it. Someone who knows everyone and they love you as well. So why not ask them to help spread the word? Maybe you can add an incentive like get a free pass to my next event if you refer me 5 attendees who are new. Maybe not. Maybe you thank them on social, maybe take a picture of them into the event, whatever it is. If you proactively give people a reason to bring a friend, you can consider a comped or discounted ticket to thank them, or you can do something else that doesn't impact your bottom line. So check this out. It's more fun to work out with friends. Bring a friend, take home a special prize, or even better, bring a friend and you both get entered to win a special prize in a raffle. Bring a friend to get access to exclusive discount for you, for your services, or maybe a future event. Bring a friend and get a special privilege like a front row spot, a selfie with the instructor after class. Hey! Pick a song, lead something on stage with me, right? Stay after class to do something extra. Lots of ways to make people feel special and ask them for their help without having to actually cost you any money. And then looking at your event, the who. Do you expect yourself, not the who, do you expect yourself pulling from existing clients, new clients, or a mix of both? And by the way, if the venue can help you market it, or if the organization, the charity can help you market it, it's a big win because they have people that you're never going to know. We'll talk more about reaching people a little bit later. So what do you envision for your event? Moving on to our where. There are so many non-traditional venue options for fitness and yoga events. If you start exploring them and kind of getting into like, oh my gosh, I could do this, this, or this. The idea of holding a class in a venue like a studio or a gym, it gets kind of bleh by comparison. At least the same old studio, same old gym, same old scheduled time. There's something inherently novel about working out in an unexpected place. It's hard to pinpoint what it is, but there's a sense of we're doing this here. And that simply increases the fun factor and the randomness of it all, which of course isn't random at all. It's just unique. So in this section, we'll talk about the main considerations when selecting a venue, maybe brainstorming some ideas for each along the way. The first consideration is free space. So I grew up with two very different mantras about this. One, if it's free, it's for me. On the same time, you only get what you pay for. So if it's free, what are you really getting? Yikes, they both hold a lot of truth. I like to be cautiously optimistic about truly free space. It needs to have availability when you need it, reasonable communication with the contact person or people, and basic amenities like bathroom, power, enough room to safely move. It's going to be findable reasonably easy. Some ideas for free spaces: businesses before they open or after they close. I worked in a hotel years ago for Marriott. I was in the sales and events area. And whenever there was no event happening, it was just sad. This place is dark for no reason. A lot of venues would rather have something happening than nothing. And if it doesn't conflict with their business, of course, that's even better. There's probably somebody setting up on staff before they start the day anyway. It's usually not too much to ask to say, could you come early to open the door? We'll have an event before you open. You could also look into a park. Maybe it's under a gazebo or something, or some sort of roof. Maybe that's just your backup location inside a building. Get your permits, of course, in advance. And if you're a member of a particular organization, or if you live in that township, that city, that community, that borough, you may have access to parks and other venues at no charge because you're already paying taxes to be there. You might have to apply in advance, but it's certainly worth looking into. You could also look into community centers or senior centers. A lot of programming happens during the week and or just during the day. So evenings and weekends, there may not be much happening at community centers and senior centers. Get permission in advance to check on rules and regulations with collecting money, signing waivers for liability, decorations, moving their tables and chairs, bringing food in, all that. Similarly, a house of worship. There's probably a certain day of the week they have actual worship services, and the other days, probably not as much stuff. It's something. But most likely, it's reasonable to say, especially if you're a member of that organization, that church or a synagogue or whatever it is, to say, could I use this space at no charge? Probably. For a small honorarium that goes towards cleaning it or maybe towards the heating and cooling costs? Maybe. Again, being careful to get about security deposit questions, talking about moving furniture and being respectful and all that. In each case, if someone is willing to give you their space at no charge, you want to make them feel absolutely great about it afterward. So please be as self-sufficient as possible and incredibly responsible. I want it to be so they can't wait to have you back. So they hold everybody else in the same ridiculously high regard they hold you. And they think everybody running the space will be just as great as you, which they won't, because they won't think about this. Make it easy for them to say yes by bringing all your own stuff, starting and ending on time as agreed upon, being considerate with their tables, chairs, and other items, their spacing considerations, so it has zero impact on whatever else they have going on before, after, even in another room at the same time. I've been known to walk into a space and take a photo or a video of what it looks like to make sure that when I leave, I set it up exactly the same way. I don't want them to even know I was there. I've been known to bring my own trash can, so that way no trash is left behind. I'll have to bring it out to their dumpster. I can just take it with me, and that way I'm the most respectful user of their space ever. Did she even come in? Karen, did Karen even come in? I can't tell. It looks great. Yeah, that's what I want. You can always give a small thank you, either a note or a post, to let the people who let you use the building or space know that you appreciate them and the opportunity to be part of their area for that one time. And hopefully they see you as a gracious person, not just an incredible instructor, which of course we know you are. The second option is paid space, because sometimes there's a cost associated, and that might be okay. If you've got the chance to be featured at a prime venue with lots of exposure, all the bells and whistles, and it's super exciting, that might be worth it. If something's a grand opening, maybe you want to get in on that. Maybe there's a cost, maybe you don't mind. Just be sure that as you're working through this, you determine your costs for the venue rental as part of your overall budget, and that you're sure to charge enough money or set a realistic attendee minimum to avoid losing money. Because even if you're not in it to make a profit or to raise money for a charity, if you're doing it for networking purposes or just for fun, you probably don't want to lose money on the deal. If possible, see if you can advertise your event at that venue and or on their socials and their email list in advance. To make it easy, provide the marketing manager or the venue owner or the manager on duty with, here's everything you need. Here's posters that you can print or that I printed for you, can hang up. with a QR code people can register on. If you want to say to them, to their social media person or whatever, here's something you can post on Instagram. Here's the caption. Here's what you put on Facebook. Here's the caption I want you to use. Refer them to me with any questions. Just give them everything. And that way they're ready to run with it. With any venue, of course, it's ideal to have your reservation in writing, whether it's an email or a contract. But when it comes to paid spaces, especially, just be really careful that anything with cancellation or issues with security deposits, look for those caveats in advance and make sure you're completely on board with it. So ideas for paid spaces, a gym or studio, probably during off hours. Maybe they want to charge you a couple of bucks here and there as opposed to using it for free, but it's still better than having to pay full price somewhere else. Maybe it's a gym or a dance studio, perhaps in a secondary space. Like during a lesson, everybody's taking ballet one, and there's 50 kids in there, and there's 50 parents doing nothing. So a few of them want to take a class with you or have a discussion related to a wellness and fitness topic while their kids are in class. Can you rent out a room for that? Maybe. How about part of a trade show or a festival, which is kind of a unique thing, especially if the people coming to the trade show or festival are coming for fitness and wellness, health and wellness, then you doing something as part of that, if it costs you a lot, might be worth it because you're getting so much exposure, people getting to see what you do in action as part of that festival. And finally, what about a place that's specific to your target demographic? Let's say, for example, you're doing bachelorette parties or bridal party gatherings for weddings, right? Why not talk to brides-to-be and their wedding parties about coming to reception venues, florists, bridal shops, or hair and nail salons and having it there, right? They could be your partners. Maybe you pay a couple bucks, but it's worth it because you've got a dialed-in audience. You can advertise it and also hold it at a place that has a direct connection to your market. Finally, trade. Less common solution is a trade. This would be where you get access to the space for no actual dollars, but you pay for it in some other way. So I always thought of the brewery events that I've been doing for years, because this goes back to 2019. I thought of them as free. And then one day last year in the fall, I got a call from the manager at that brewery who said, "We want to talk to you about having these events more often." He ended up saying, "Let's do it once a week." My mindset shifted, which was too much, by the way, shifted from it's free space to it's a trade when he said, "The days you're here doing events, we have a great first hour. So we want to do more of that." And I was like, I'm not getting it for free. They're not doing me a favor. I'm trading them a great first hour in exchange for them trading me an hour before they open. All I asked them to do was unlock the damn door. I did the rest myself with my friends who are now good at cleaning up, and with my fitness colleagues who are now good at helping me co-host and or co-host for me and or clean up, all those things. You could trade personal space or personal training sessions with the owner if you had that skill in exchange for using their space. You could trade a team building experience for the staff. I always wanted to do this. Take time to do a class with the staff, right? And in exchange for them having the team building things that of whatever they normally do, have a boring meeting or something, you then get to use the space for your fitness or yoga event. There's nothing out of pocket for either one of you. It's just time, right? And it kind of gives you a chance to make a connection as well, because if you're able to do something like a team building event for the staff can then say to people at the bar who go, or the restaurant who go, "What's this thing about a fitness class? That's like some like boxing class here. Oh my gosh, I did that. I don't really do boxing, but I felt so powerful punching and kicking the air. That instructor, Karen, she knows what she's doing. You should check it out." It's like a personal endorsement because they've taken your class and they know what it's like. So why not? There are tons of other ways to offer trades. And the worst that can happen when you suggest it is that someone says no, or that they ignore you. So consider your unique skill set and the things you do that are special or different or off the beaten track, and just pitch it to the decision maker. How would you like to do? I'm interested in making a trade with you wherein I get to use your space for an hour, and in exchange, I give you whatever it is. Why not be bold? You have very little to lose. Recapping our where with our real talk. Does it make sense? The venue, right? Make sure you're not doing it just because somebody else said you should have it there. So if your people are super edgy, then a church basement might not be a good choice because it's just different people. In the same time, if your people are super conservative, then a nightclub might not be a good choice. Maybe that's a little bit too edgy. You know what I'm saying? Make sure it feels right to you. There's also logistical considerations. If you teach a format that requires you to demonstrate or participate actively, make sure there's open sight lines. So the best venue in the world doesn't matter if they can't see what you're doing to follow along. Similarly, if you do an event that's guided by your voice, like a yoga class, for example, or meditation or Tai Chi, maybe make sure that people can hear you, there's not extra background noise that's going to deter from you trying to be heard. And if you play music, if you're doing a Zumba class or something else, it's like a party vibe. Warrior class, the same thing. Make sure that you playing music isn't going to disturb that business or that other group's meeting there at that place. It's not going to be an issue, right? You want to make sure the venue does make sense. So here we go. Moving on to your event. Where? Free space, paid space, trade, or a trade. Feel free to write down some potential venues that jumped into your mind. Move on to our when, our next bucket. So we did the why, what, where, and who, and now it's time for when. These are some considerations to ask yourself when choosing a time or day for your fitness or yoga event. So first things to consider is your audience or your attendees, because the best space in the world won't make a difference if your people can't get there then. Let's say your audience is expecting is parents who are back to work full time and having trouble kind of reconciling making time for themselves while also having little kids. If the parents recently went back to work, then holding your event on Wednesday at 10 a.m. isn't going to probably work. They're going to be at work. And that's the whole thing. They're working parents. You're going to look for evenings and weekends instead. If your people are active agers or retirees who don't like driving in the dark, then even if you can get free space at a great venue at nighttime, it's not going to be a good fit. Can you pick a different time of year when it's not as dark yet? Can you find a daytime option when they're more likely to be able to travel to you and attend? Looking at when your venue of choice could be impacted when it comes to when. If your venue has a busy season, it'll likely be harder to get a good space, especially for your cheap one, but easier to draw a crowd. If it's a seasonal venue like a shore town or a ski resort, it's going to be different than someone who's kind of steady year round. Then again, holding an event at a seasonal venue means it may be harder to get a good turnout during the off season. Maybe it's easy to get free and cheap space because there won't be many folks necessarily around if they don't vacation there during that time. In general, you should anticipate working around a venue's ongoing plans. Don't expect them to reinvent the wheel for you. So for example, if there's live music the first Friday of every month, don't expect to get a Friday night space. They've got live music then. But also, can you tie your event in to that somehow? Maybe it's an 80s band, an 80s cover band. Maybe you decided to do a fitness class or yoga class that includes 80s music to tie into their existing thing. Maybe they have a seasonal menu switch, and every season they get to a new release of things coming. Why not have your yoga class have a theme of seasons changing to coincide with their existing plans on the venue schedule? How else could it be extra intentional to make it connect your venue to your event without asking them to do anything special for you because you're the one looking to use their space? And finally, when it comes to when, venue related again, the best spot in the world doesn't matter if you're going to go broke renting it, especially if your goal is to make money for yourself or someone else. Not every event's about making money, but it's pretty likely you don't want to lose money in the process. Your time and effort are too valuable for that, especially on an ongoing basis. So instead of breaking the bank often, ask yourself, is it worth it? Could I go to less of a peak season? Could I go to less of a peak time? Maybe weekday or evening is better than weekend. Can I hold my holiday themed class not on a holiday, but sometime before or after, or maybe it's before a holiday, the week before Mother's Day instead of on Mother's Day. Get ready for Mother's Day early or a week after. Keep the magic alive one more week. Can that work for you? It's worth a shot. Can you find an alternate venue with some of the features that you like that kind of match that expensive version that isn't going to break the bank, less out of pocket cost, or willing to offer you a trade? All considerations of when. Okay, for some real talk, just because everyone else is available at a particular date and time doesn't mean that's what works for you personally. Don't book it automatically. It's got to work for you, right? You're running the event. You've got to feel good about it. If you doing an event when everybody else is available, you have other stuff. You've got your kids' soccer matches. You've got a professional event. You've got time with your family, time with your parents. You've got things to do that you enjoy for fun, a family trip or relaxing, or your own yoga and fitness classes for your own personal practices. Then don't say yes just because everybody else wants it. It's got to work for you too. Make sure you feel good about it. It may take a while to figure out what works best for you, but you'll find a sweet spot with trial and error, with your audience and the location and your budget. So don't get discouraged. Looking at your event, just give it some consideration. What's your ideal date, time, season? And what's your first backup if you had to pick one for the event you're thinking about? Always wanted to have a Valentine's Day partners event. like work out with your significant other, of course, Galentine's, Valentine's, Palentine's, whatever it is. But I don't do it on Valentine's Day. I do the week before, the week after, for sure. Right. How, but how much? The part no one wants to talk about it, but an absolute necessity when planning an event is how much is it going to cost folks to attend? I teased this earlier. We're going to dive into it now. The first option is free. And guess what? Me too. Everyone loves free stuff. Giving stuff away makes you feel like Santa Claus year round. Getting free stuff makes it feel like it's your birthday every day. But the reality is that while free feels good and maybe easy to get signups, folks who agree to attend a free event aren't super likely to actually show up. They have less reason to go. They have no skin in the game. If you're seriously considering a free event, I'd suggest asking yourself why you think that's the best fit. Have a real talk with yourself. Is it just to be nice? Is it because you don't know what to charge? Is it because you don't want to deal with money? Is it because you're afraid no one will pay for your event because it's too much? Anything is too much. Is it because you're undervaluing the incredible skill you have in the class you're going to offer, or underestimating the amount of time and effort you're going to spend getting it ready? If any of those are yeses, free may not be the answer. Now, if your potential attendees really do not have the money to spend on it, that's a different story. Free might be the best thing to do at that point. But just be careful that folks might have trouble transitioning from free to paid if you make it a habit of offering complimentary classes. As an alternative, consider having complimentary kind of on a schedule for those that need it. Maybe you start the new year, it's New Year's, it's a new year, new me, all that nonsense that we as fitness pros know. It's the lifestyle, not a New Year's resolution, but whatever. You offer a free class on New Year's Day to get yourself off to a great start, or New Year's week. Maybe it's the beginning of each new season or quarter, and that way it's kind of like dabbling in the free stuff, but then offering paid events afterwards. So it's not all the time. If you do free events all the time, you're undercutting not just yourself, but potentially others in your area who might actually need the money and say, why would I go to that event when blah, blah, blah's event's free all the time? I'm not going to pay money for this. And they don't get a chance to make money. So think about someone beyond yourself when it comes to free. So you can set a specific price. Probably the most common, the cost for this event is this much, this many dollars. You can pay at the door, in advance, electronically, cash. We've got lots of options there. But by having folks go to the trouble of paying you money, even if it's just a Venmo transaction, registering on a website maybe, that means they're a little bit more invested. It helps you cover your costs. They're more likely to show up, helps you make more profit you need by ensuring you have enough enrollments before the event date happens. In reality, it may be harder to get registrations this way, but it's more likely they'll actually show up. I think of it as quality attendees versus quantity. I want 10 people actually there, not 20 saying I'll show up and nobody comes. Because I've heard that a lot. Oh, nobody came. I thought it was a great idea. They said they were coming. Did you charge them? Well, no, I don't want to do that. Well, guess what? They had no reason to show up. Making an investment of any kind doesn't have to be a lot of money. A little bit of time, a little bit of money can make people feel like they need to go. They said they would. They took the time to invest in it in some way, time or money, and now they feel more likely to actually show up. You can check out similar events in your area to give you a guideline. You can also just look it up online to say what's the similar price to what's out there. Do some market research. You may or may not want to ask a few folks in your target audience, what do you think? I did this weekend really subtly. I was talking to some friends at church. I had just done a Warrior Rhythm Roots chair fitness class. And I asked them, I said, you know what? I'd like to do this more often. Maybe one of my trainees could take over, but I don't want to make it free. I want them to feel like they're getting some value out of the training they took. So I said, I charge like $5 a class. And they were like, oh my gosh, that's so reasonable. So that tells me if I were to eventually pitch it and say, blah, blah, blah is taking over the Sunday afternoon Roots class here at church, it's $5 a person. The people I think would be less likely to be like, oh, that's ridiculous. I've asked the question subtly off the record once and gotten just a little bit of feedback that that's not a crazy idea. It's good to know. I'm going to recommend you don't underprice your events so that you lose money or that you need a huge audience to cover it, right? So if you spend $100 on stuff or a venue rental, you probably want to make back that much or more. Let's say the venue only holds 10 people for safety purposes. If you charge $10 a person, if you charge less than 10 a person, you're going to lose money. If you charge exactly 10 a person, you have to sell out to break even. If you charge a little bit more, maybe $12 or $15 a person, you have a bit of a cushion to A, not need to sell out, or to B, make a decent amount of extra money if you sell out. It's just less pressure. You can enjoy the event more when you have a little bit of a little wiggle room. Finally, for how much? Another option is set up a sliding scale for ticketing, or a donate what you care to share, I've often said when it comes to fundraisers. You could also have a suggested price with folks getting the option to pay that little or more if they want to. And yes, some people do in fact choose to put more in. Make sure you're okay with the low end. I had this happen to me once. I did a fundraiser for Pride Month. I mentioned earlier with the Rhythm Flows class at my church for Pride Month. And I asked the people to donate anywhere, whatever they care to share. Suggested was $20 a person. Some people literally put in 50 or 100, and somebody actually registered for zero. Zero. I had set it up, zero or more. And I was mad. No, I'm not keeping any of this. This doesn't impact me, but I was like, I was angry. I was angry, like, it's not worth any. Maybe they didn't have the money. I don't know. But based on my reaction, which is that I got offended personally that somebody put in zero. If I do this now, I started at $5. Minimum is $5. If you can't donate $5, then this may not be the event for you, which sounds kind of cruel. Most people have $5, right? So to say 5 or up makes me feel better. So that's what I learned, because it sat wrong with me that somebody actually picked zero. So now it won't be a thing. Okay, looking at our recap and the real talk, if you can keep your pricing consistent, it's going to be easier. Keep it transparent. Learn from yourself and learn from others and their issues, what's gone wrong. Because if you get fancy, it's easy to get yourself in trouble. Be as clear as possible. You want to give preferential treatment or lose track of different scenarios. If you're going to comp or discount someone, make sure you're 100% okay with the rationale. It's bulletproof. I'll tell you this, Melissa came to my bar class or rhythm class, I guess, last year, 9 months pregnant, at the brewery. She's not drinking a beer. She's huge. She's trying not to burst on the floor. She was gigantic. She's ready to go. She had her baby like a week later. Maybe I helped. I don't know. So instead of charging her $20 for class and a beer, I said, use this promo code. It's going to cost you 12. Same thing happened with Lori, who took my class for 20 and said, I can't drink alcohol because of the medicine I'm on. And I was like, I had no idea. So instead of saying, let me refund you, I said, you know what? Here's a promo code. Next time you come to one of my events, use this code. It'll charge you 12 for the class instead of 20 for the class plus a beer. She's not going to drink. She doesn't want to. She's not trying to save money. She literally is not allowed to drink health-wise. So that's a different story, you know? Anyway, those arrangements are made in private, but you can choose to make arrangements loud and proud, such as Brooke referred 10 clients to me, so her admission today was free. You can do the same when you refer me 10 or more people. Make it a whole thing. Make it a contest if you want to. One more comment about pricing. Keep track of your budgeted expenses and your actual expenses and what you brought in any way that works for you, your lifestyle, and your personality. Whether it's paying for the venue, making color copies, for advertising, paid ads on social. I don't do it. Maybe you do. Decorations, equipment, favors and gifts, tips, whatever activity you include, or whatever thing besides the class itself. And then make sure you know how much money you need to make to recuperate that. Consider how many folks can reasonably fit and how many people you want to deal with. And then make sure your ticket price per person reflects enough money when you consider also the number of people who could be joining. If you have the luxury of keeping your expenses minimal, like I do, you're going to have a lot less stress to cover your budget, because I'll tell you, simple math is my favorite math. I'm a word person, right? So I keep things simple as I can, and it's a good fit. All right. Your event, how much? Are you thinking free? Are you thinking a price per person? Are you thinking a suggested donation? The actual numbers may change. What are you thinking? Thinking of your potential event you're working on as of right now. To our last major section, talking about RSVP, which is just a catch-all for managing wait lists, taking reservations, setting minimums, dealing with cancellations. It's not the most fun part of planning a pop-up, but it's important to have at least some precedents or standards in place so you can confidently, professionally respond when one of these things comes up. It's worth it in the long run. So first things first, how and when to take reservations. When it comes to registrations, I use them the same way. It's like Seinfeld. You know how to take the reservation. You know how to hold a reservation, that famous scene. There's two major ways to do it. One is online and one is in person. Online, you could use an event-specific website like Eventbrite or SimpleTix. You could use a hosting site like Arcata. You could use your own website. You could use Venmo or another Cash App. People register in advance and they pay you. So when they show up, they don't have to bring anything with them but their fitness equipment or their yoga mat. They don't have to bring any actual money. In person, they could pay you in advance or at the door, technically, with cash, credit card, maybe checks. Who knows? And if you have one of those little square things to do the credit card slider on spot, it'd be pretty cool to tap. So tickets may or may not be physical. It's your choice. You want to print something out? Do you want to have a physical ticket? I'm perfectly happy having a list on my phone of who's coming. I use it through my software for Arquetta, and I can check them in. This one came, this one came, this one came. And I don't have to worry about actually like looking at something, having them bring a physical ticket. I think it's, a lot of people don't have printers. I don't think it's worth it. They can bring a screenshot. Hey, look, I'm confirmed. You also have that probably on your side. I also like to print out a roster. I used to, I don't do as much anymore, of who paid, who's comped, and who's going to be late, who canceled the last second, and like note on the physical paper what to expect. So that way I can go, is everybody here? And I can just get started with the event. About starting to take reservations or registrations or selling tickets. Take some trial and error. A last minute pop up, hey, boot camp in the park tomorrow at 11 a.m. That might work for you. That would drive me absolutely nuts. I want to spend 4 to 6 weeks talking it up. That way I know people are interested. I make them register in advance if they want to join for sure. I don't want to deal with, is anyone coming or not? I don't want to deal with, it's tomorrow. Are they going to hear my, are they going to, someone going to say, I didn't know about that. Oh, it drives me nuts because I shout about it for like a month and ahead. So for my own safety, I like 4 to 6 weeks in advance, and I know there's going to be a flurry of activity the week before it actually happens. That's just always the way it is. Sometimes the day before. Maybe you prefer 2 or 3 weeks. Maybe you prefer 6 months. Everybody's different. You also want to consider when you plan to stop taking reservations. Do you let people register until the moment before? I had somebody register from the parking lot a couple times. Oh yeah, I'm coming to set. I'm registering right now. And I'm like, what? You're sitting outside. It's 10:55. We start in 5 minutes. Yeah, it can happen. Do you want to have registrations stop a day in advance, 24 hours, close it down? A week in advance? Depends on you. When it comes to minimums, wait lists, roster management, and cancellations, there's some nuance associated with staying organized, driven largely by what you, the organizer, want to deal with, and recognizing you have lots of other competing priorities. But having some guidelines in place can be absolutely invaluable, especially when you're under stress in the moment. So one thing, determining how many tickets you need to sell to make the event viable. Could be breaking even, could be making money, could be a certain number of people. Consider how much money and effort you put into the event so far, and then consider your desired profit, if any. My unofficial line with the brewery events, which doesn't cost me anything to rent, I don't give stuff away, include the beer and the price of their ticket, is that I want to make at least double what I make at the gym. I want to make 70 bucks, preferably more. So with what I get, which is roughly $12 per person, 10 or 12 per person, depending how I have the ticket set up, I would have at least 6 people. If I don't have 6 by the day before, I seriously consider canceling. If I have 5, I might do it. But for 1 or 2 people, I'm not holding that event. And I make sure to tell them in advance, if we don't have at least 6, this event will be canceled as of 24 hours in advance. So they're not showing up thinking it's happening, right? There's also the other end of the spectrum. What if you have a full house and more interest? What if you have a wait list? It's a good problem to have, but it still can be uncomfortable. So it's happened to me a couple of times. I don't want anybody to miss out, but I also don't want to stuff them in so it's unsafe. So ask yourself, if you had a waitlist situation, how would you communicate, hey, somebody just dropped out, you're in? Or what's the last minute kind of time you could do it? Do you want to wait till an hour before? Do you want to wait till that day? Do you want to wait till the day before, a week before? You decide what's best for your stress level, as well as kind of having a sense of what works for your people. And on a related note, how will you communicate to someone that they were on the wait list and now they have a space? Do you have a system set up with text messaging that goes direct to your people if there's a change? Do you email them? Does your software email them? Do you call them? Do you have a cutoff for how close to the event it can happen? What's the last option for roster changes? And then finally, kind of a bummer, but I've dealt with a fair amount of cancellations, generally at the last second, the day of or the day before. Happened a lot before the pandemic. And then as soon as the pandemic ended, we were back to doing in-person things. People tended to all show up. Now it's kind of slipping back in every once in a while. Sometimes I bat 1,000, sometimes I don't. So basically, if someone's going to cancel the last second, what do you want to do about it? Or maybe cancel early. What do you do about it? Do you offer them a refund? Do you say, sorry, non-refundable? Make sure you communicate that if that's the case. Do you offer them the opportunity to come to a future event within the next few months or anytime? You get to decide. I like to say to people something like, I'm sorry you won't be able to make it. I'll move your registration to the next event unless you prefer a refund instead. And of the dozens of events I've done this, and a lot of them had cancellations, one person has only ever taken me up on the refund. Everybody else is happy that I'm not mad at them or not penalizing them. And they instead say, sure, you know what, put us toward the next event. That sounds great. My kid's sick. I can't be there. It's not like they're trying to ditch me, right? So you decide, do I want to do a cancellation with any monetary impact, or do I want to just let it go? What do I want to do? What's going to be good for me and my relationship with my customers? And then on the RSVP side, what about incentives? What can you offer to get your tickets sold as early as possible? We touched on this a little bit earlier. Can you suggest they bring a friend or two, win a prize, or be entered to win a prize? If they refer a certain number of attendees who book with you, can they get free stuff or future discount? Can you give them a special promotional code that they put in so that you can keep track of how many people they referred? Like my friend Brooke, I could have them put in a code that says Brooke, and I know, hey, that referral came from her. When I get to 10, I'm going to offer her a free class, which I did. I had a free class for Anna and Brooke. I said to them, you guys have given me so much business. Let's pick a day. We found one. Pick a format. They picked two. We put them together. And let's have a class for you and 10 friends. I'm going to do it for free. You got to buy your own beer and pizza, but I'll give you a free class to thank you. And they're like, are you sure? Are you sure? Yeah, guys, it's just my time. I'm okay with giving that to you. You've given me so much. I want to give back. You could also incentivize early booking by announcing a penalty for last minute reservations, or maybe by offering an early bird discount. I feel like this works best for bigger ticket things. If you book a week in advance, it's less money if you book at the last second. Incentives have to be enticing enough to get their attention, but not such a deep discount that it negates all the profit you're looking to make, if any. This is why I like the idea of giving a prize or something extra, like a chance to win something or a promotional thing that they have to cash out on their own, as opposed to giving them free stuff right off the bat. All of your incentives are going to require some sort of tracking. So be sure you have a clear idea of what you're getting yourself into before you start offering it. Can you track it? Can you know what you've got so you don't lose track of things? You can also just ask for help. You don't have to give anything away. Many folks like being helpful and they won't require or expect anything in return. A round of applause or a little speech at the end or a sincere thank you message may be enough. So looking at our RSVPs, real talk, when it comes to ticketing, when it comes to staying organized, what's the best thing for you? What are you most comfortable with? If your system is a notepad, or note cards. If your system is spreadsheets, if your system is jotting things down on your notepad app in your phone, that's okay. Don't get bullied into using websites. Not if you don't want to. Not if it works for you and it works for your people. Maybe there's an opportunity to work with someone more tech savvy, though, as a trade. Someone who can't afford your class, but does have experience working with websites. Why not? Or a free pass for them in exchange for what they have to offer. Also, decide, are you okay with making exceptions to your policies, your RSVP stuff? For example, I prefer strongly people register in advance. It means they're going to show up. They've made a financial commitment. But recently someone said to me, your website's driving me nuts. Can I just pay you in cash on the spot? And I was like, okay. And they did. They walked in late. And at the end, they handed me $20 and said, here you go. So it worked out fine. I don't do it very often. I don't make exceptions unless it really makes sense to do so. And I suggest you do the same. If you really prefer in person, registration in advance, are you okay with doing something electronic? Can they Venmo you? Are you all right with that? If you are, go for it. If you're not, then don't. So thinking about your event, maybe it's something to do later on, consider how you anticipate handling all these different concepts and recognize that you can change it, but having a sense of what you want to do in advance means you're less likely to go, I'm not sure. Let me think. I don't know. I'll get back to you. If you have a sense of what works, I can say very clearly now, I'm sorry you can't make it. Would you like a refund or would you like to come to the next event at no charge? You have to use it within the next 6 months. And I've done that enough to know that I can just say it. And I can say, would you like to bring a friend or 6? And feel good about that too. All right. Let's take a look at everything we've done here. So we went through all the major topics to consider, kind of mindset stuff to have in the back of your mind before you begin the nuts and bolts of planning. So not right now, but maybe before you start publicizing, could you fill out this, which is in your packet, about your event? All these considerations to help get it ready to go. We're going to move into kind of the nitty gritty as we get to our last half hour here, which is about communication and marketing. So as you'll see right here, communication is the key to success. I'm such a nerd. This is as good as it gets, guys. So my top tip with communicating is, can you make it as efficient as possible while still keeping it personal? Consider your vibe and your tone. I strive for a blend of professional yet personable. I'm not going to be a robot. I'm not going to be a jerk either. I'm going to be a little goofy. That's kind of how I roll. You do you. So when you think about tone, listen to these different opening lines you could use to greet your events, attendees, or you could use as part of your promotional efforts. They all evoke kind of different feelings. Here's the first one. Good morning, friends. You could say, hello, everyone. You could say, hey, warriors. Bar fans, listen up. All right, Zumba maniacs. What up, badasses? Hardworking mamas. Welcome, yogis. They all have a different tone. They all have a different kind of vibe behind them. But welcome, yogis brought me way down just then. And whether it's in writing, online, or in print, whether it's out loud on video or in person, using your voice, the voice you wish to portray as your brand, makes a big difference to make it clear this is your event. If you're going to use AI tools like ChatGPT to draft something, make sure before you publish it, it still feels and sounds like you. Let's get to a silly but important topic. When do you communicate? Of course, you communicate before the event happens to your attendees. It might be a single confirmation email. It could be any number of other touch points. I try to make my people feel informed without nagging them, and that is a fine line that I've absolutely crossed before. It happens. The reality is that if your registered attendees have a good sense of what's going to happen, they can easily share it with others. If they have a good handle on it, they should be able to understand and articulate the basics like what to expect, what to bring, where is it occurring, when to show up, whether there's room to bring a friend or not. We'll get into more about marketing communication, but first, let's talk about this very underrepresented topic when it comes to communicating, which is after the event. Because after it's over, you're not quite done. Sorry, you're not. One of my favorite ways to make sure that I'm not burnt out and I can still keep up with finishing the event off by communicating afterward is to have a post and or an email, usually both, kind of drafted as a template, and then to plug in the stuff for this particular event so that's ready to go. So I say to my people, I'm going to email you tonight with a photo from today and a recap of our wonderful day together. I've got a thing. Thank you for coming to blank. We had a great time and my heart's feeling blank. My body's feeling blank. Here's a photo of us together. Here's what's coming next. I just plug stuff in. That one I don't have to think about it. I just have to do it. So you want to include something. I use Canva, I use Constant Contact, which I tweak to include things like the event name verbiage, photos from this event, always an after class photo, oftentimes others if I can get them, graphics so they don't look exactly the same the whole time. I put thank you in different kind of script or whatever. Maybe updates of the color scheme to go with whatever format I was showing, and maybe I invite them to the next thing I've got planned. Be sure you snap at least one picture so you have some remembrance of what it was like. You can be like, oh, that's what I wore to the last event. I'm not going to wear the same thing. It's a silly stuff. It's nice to have. Your post-event communication may include other things, like a request for feedback or a survey. I haven't had a lot of success with that, but maybe you will. VIP announcements like, I've got another event coming soon. Check your email tonight. You'll be the first ones to know. You can invite everybody else the next day, but let your people be the VIPs. Let it make a big announcement for them. They came to your event. They deserve it. You can tease additional services or things coming up in your particular offerings. That might get folks to actually look at it. If you tell them, hey, check your email tonight, something big is coming. Maybe they actually look at it and read it, because otherwise it's not a given. Try not to overpromise, okay? So if you aren't likely to send your thank you email as soon as you get home, because I'm likely to lay on the couch when I get home or shower for as long as I can, right? Maybe you want to tell them, you can look forward to getting an email from me with a big announcement as well as my thank you and a group picture in the next few days. You can stick to that. That same day may or may not be feasible. Put in a buffer you feel good about. So in communications, it's important to communicate before and after the event. It doesn't need to be formal. It doesn't need to be fussy. It can be easy and fun for everybody. Our next topic is marketing, which is the big one, I think. So I want you to take a moment and consider, how do you learn about events, particularly the ones you actually go to? How do you learn about them? What sticks in your memory? Is it social media post or story? Is it a lot of social media posts or stories again and again, the repetition? Is it an email? Is it a direct message or a text? Is it a face-to-face conversation? Is it a sign or poster you see out there somewhere in the wild? Is it something else entirely? Is it just word of mouth, people talking about it maybe? Make sure that whatever marketing you do will align not just with you, but with your target audience, because it may not be the same thing as the way you consume event invitations. All right, marketing promotion are all about getting the word out, finding your ideal audience and encouraging them to take action. Simple as that. The most basic principle I learned in my public relations degree a million years ago at Rowan University is that you're tailoring your message to your audience. That's it. Simple. No, really simple concept, not necessarily simple to execute. That applies to not just the words you say and write, but also the media you use to get the word out. You want to get it to your audience, not just to the world at large. So how's it done? Well, until you get a good sense of what works for you, try spreading the word in multiple ways. Make it as direct and personal as possible without being pushy or weird. They said they were interested. Maybe they responded to a Facebook event you set up, or they said to you in a conversation or via message they're interested in coming. So then ask them, are they ready to register? Because saying you're interested and registering are two different things. I end up saying a message like this frequently or texting it frequently. I saw you responded as interested in my upcoming fitness event on this day and time at this place. I'm looking to firm up the roster as soon as possible, and I don't want you to miss out. Are you ready to reserve your space now? Maybe I include the link to register while I'm at it. Here's the link just in case. Would you like to bring a friend? And a pro tip, if you do this with messaging, make sure that you can copy and paste the entire content except for the hi blank. Hi, Lacey. Hi, Laurel. Hi, Larry. Maybe other non-L words. But if you send a message to John, but you meant to, it says hi, Mary on it, you look like a jerk. So type in their name, copy and paste the rest. And that way it's a lot less likely you're going to get caught messaging the wrong person with the wrong name. Feel free to mention things like space is running out. Hopefully that's true. Maybe it's not. You spin any way you want to. I think you'd love it. Hopefully that's true. This is the last one of the year. This is the first one of the year. It's the first one ever we're doing this particular event. Like when I start teaching traditional yoga classes, which I'm not there yet, I'll be able to very honestly say, this is my first time teaching a traditional yoga class. I would be honored if you joined me. Why not? When I started doing follow-ups and asking people for the sale, will you please register now? I was really nervous. I thought they were going to get annoyed. I thought I was going to get yelled. I thought they were going to unfriend me. Most people respond either with, thank you, I'll register now, I forgot all about it, or thank you, but I can't make it. With a side of ignoring me and not saying a word. No one has unfriended me in person or online for me following up to say, hey, are you coming? They almost always are grateful. And if they can't make it, I try to be as positive as I can. I totally get it. Or family first. And then I keep going with something like, is it okay if I reach back out to you when the next event is set up? Because if they're willing to click interested in once, they'd be interested in the next one as well. It's worth asking. But the reality is if you don't ask them to stay in touch and if you don't ask them for the actual sale, you're not going to get it. You have to just put it out there. You said you're interested. It's a nice way of saying put your money where your mouth is, but a little more suave than that. I love if you came. I hope to see you. As part of your follow-ups, make it as easy as possible for them to say yes. Have the registration link or the QR code ready to show them. Here you go. Here's where it happens. Feel free to share this with your friends, right? So that way they never have to ask, how do I register? I did that once with an event. I felt awful. Someone said, where's the registration link? And I was like, oh, snap. I forgot to paste it in there. But that's on me. Once someone says, yes, I'll definitely be there. I'm so glad you texted me. You can respond with, amazing. I know you're going to have the best time. Here's the link so you can register. That gets you officially onto the guest list. FYI, I'll message you a day in advance to let you know the last minute reminders. And that way they know to expect another contact from you. Let's look at remembering when you communicate with your why, your what, who, when, where, and RSVP, make sure it's a way that feels true to your vibe and your event's vibe if possible, strengthening your personal brand. For example, I wouldn't handle a Zumba cardio party and a slow flow yoga event with the same exact words or phrases or colors, even if they're at the same venue, even if they're benefiting the same charitable organization. It's going to look, sound, and feel different. The event's going to be different, right? There's different vibes. My marketing communication also echoes that. If it's for a casual event, then being super formal or super corporate sounding isn't going to be where it's going to be confusing. If it's beginner focused, cut back on the jargon. Maybe like imposing images such as weightlifting with heavy barbells or a yogi with their foot up over their head. That's not a good choice necessarily if you're looking for folks who are brand new to whatever it is you're offering. You could scare someone away very easily by not representing them. And unless you're looking for a specific demographic, active agers, new moms, people who come from a particular community, try to use a variety of people in your marketing and communication images. That way folks feel like they belong at your event. Inadvertently showing only certain body types, certain ages, certain shapes, certain races, certain genders, make them feel like it's not for them. I had this happen. I was talking to my former pastor, believe it or not, at a theater event one night. He said, Karen, I see these cool fitness events you do, but there's never any guys there. Are guys allowed to come? And I was like, heartbreaking. Of course you could come, Pastor. I'd love to see you there. But he'd never seen a man in any of the pictures I'd posted, so he thought men weren't invited. Oh, That's something I'm working on, getting more guys out to my events. But anyway, that's a good example of trying to be as inclusive as possible so that way folks can picture themselves there when they see someone like them in the pictures. Okay, so you'll get a strong sense as you go along of what works and doesn't work for your events and your people and yourself. Learn from your previous mistakes, your successes and failures, which of course are just opportunities to make things better the next time. And a quick mindset shift because no instructor I know actually wants to deal with sales. So think of it less about selling and more about, and not, you're not trying to take their money, you're trying to give them something. For example, if I don't tell them about my event or whatever I'm offering, I won't be able to help them. Help them with what? Help them reach their goals, help them find out that exercise is fun, help them relax and de-stress, help them do something for themselves for a change, help them be part of a supportive community of people who really care. That's a good reason to scream about this great thing you're doing because there's so many upsides. You have to tell them about it. You have to market it or else the word's not going to get out and you can't help them with whatever they're working towards. Another one, if I don't talk up this event or post on social, announce it in my classes, etc., they're going to miss out and I know they'll enjoy it. I don't want them to miss out. I desperately want people to not miss out. I want them to be enjoying whatever I have to offer. That's why I'm doing it, right? For them and for me. So I like to make a point of saying to myself, if I don't tell them, they're going to miss out. I have to make this thing a priority. I have to talk about it a lot to get people's attention. All right, so talk about how to market your event. We're in the home stretch here. So ways to market or promote, I'm using those words interchangeably. The first thing would be in person or physically. You can talk about it. Address a small group, a big group, an individual. That allows you to answer questions on the spot, show your enthusiasm and your passion for what you're working on. Be aware that before you start, either you should have practiced what you plan to say a lot to get it down. Or maybe you have with you some sort of a card or a list of the points you want to get to, like a bullet point list to make sure you cover what you wanted to say, especially if you're nervous. You can also hand stuff out, cards, postcards, flyers to potential attendees to say, hey, when you get home, go ahead and register. Here's the QR code, or here's the website link. I wrote it down for you. You can also have them snap a photo of it because maybe that's going to be their shopping list later instead of actually going to take action with, could just be what they jot down, what they need at the grocery store. So taking a picture of the flyer could be just as good. You can also post flyers in different places. Get permission first. Trying to catch someone's eye at the supermarket, at the coffee shop, at the library, at another business. Make sure you've got permission. Take it down if you need to afterward. Find out what their deal is. Make sure that everything you print, ideally, is in color and it looks great. Have somebody else proofread it. Looking for errors in spelling, looking for punctuation issues, making sure the graphics aren't weird, making sure you don't have too many words. I have too many words. I spend a lot of time taking my ideas and making them shorter and smaller because I have so much to say, obviously. If you can't handle someone telling you this isn't clear, that's a typo, whatever, then do it yourself, but walk away for an hour or two and then come back with fresh eyes, ideally the next morning, to make sure that what you've written does in fact get across what you're trying to say. And that the pictures you've chosen and the graphics and whatnot also strengthen what you're going for rather than hurting it. You can also, of course, publicize or promote online. If you're on social media, you have additional opportunities to meet potential attendees, but it's not typically as strong as a face-to-face connection. There's pros and cons. I love setting up a Facebook event early on. The good side is that people can be invited, whether if I think they might attend, or I can invite everybody I know if I want to. I prefer to invite people who I think are at least are in the area. I can invite people who I can keep track of them. They respond as coming or interested. I can follow up with them later on. I love being able to do that. I can also use the @everyone hashtag once a day or the @everyone tag once a day to say to people, @everyone, which I did for this event, for example, don't forget to register. It's coming up soon, that kind of thing. Or here's some information you might want to know. Your ticket and registration link can live inside your Facebook event, and that means it's easy to find, at least in theory. People attending can look back and see all the other things you've used as teasers. You've used updates, reminders in your event, and that's all really nicely organized if they know and are willing to go look there. You can share your event to groups, to pages, and to your profile if desired. Make sure you're smart about how you share. You're not going to do it when it's inappropriate or where it's going to ruffle someone's feathers wrong. And finally, if you set your event to public, anybody can find it. Facebook can recommend it. I've had this happen. People said to me a few times at events, I found your event because Facebook recommended it. And I was like, what do you mean? I don't know you. How could they recommend it? This person must have said before that they like fitness events and they like yoga and they like outdoor stuff. So we said to them, come to this outdoor best friends day workout that Karen and Jackie are doing outside in a park. It's flex and flow. It's yoga and weight training. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad Facebook recommended it. The algorithm will help you occasionally. So if your event's public, if you're okay with that, it's a great way to get the word out. Facebook events on the other side has some cons because you can't guarantee that people will see or respond to your invitation. You can't guarantee the public will see it. And also, responding with I'm going or I'm interested isn't the same as actually taking action to register or to show up the day of the event. So it could be confusing. It could be easy to misinterpret. Also, could just be easy to ignore. Posting on social, in your status, in groups, in stories, in reels and videos, posting gets the word out for free as often as you want to, which is definitely a plus. Right? Currently, it's still free. Good thing. It also allows you to keep the ticket link nearby by embedding it in the caption, putting a link in your bio, using it in a link in your stories. That way, it should be easy to find for folks to register. On the downside, there's no accountability. People can like your post or love it or give it a heart or say, like, that's so awesome. Doesn't mean they're coming necessarily. It's not nearly as impactful as actually taking action. For email blasts, which is a little bit better maybe than posting on social to everybody, email blasts, you've got a dialed in audience, hopefully, who's on your email list because they care about your programming, and that email can reach them directly. It's not, you're not reliant on social media sites in case of social media site going down. Instagram went down once a couple years ago. It was like people were like freaking out about Instagram is down. What do I do? And I'm like, I got a 200-person email list. I'm less concerned. Think of the thing with Warrior where the Facebook account got hacked. So they would have been completely cooked if they didn't also have a really good email list. So that's important to have an email going on that we can still reach people if social media craps out for any reason. Email blast cons. Emails are a dime a dozen. There's a lot coming into your inbox any given day. It's really easy to ignore them. It's really easy to think I'll do it later, hit delete, hit archive, forget about it, put it in a folder, move on. They may not actually sign up for anything. Text messaging and DMs are great because they're direct. You can say to someone respectfully, but to them directly, I'm tailoring this message to you. I'm inviting you personally. Oh, I love a personal invitation. You can, in theory, also send group texts or group DMs, Instagram or Facebook Messenger, or maybe WhatsApp or maybe some other service, if you have everybody's numbers. On the downside, you may not have everybody's number. And some folks are scarred from DM from too many like sketchy people being like, hey, what's up, hon? You look great. I love what you're doing on social. So they don't want to see your very earnest message saying, I'd love to invite you to this event, right? It could be easy to ignore you. So looking at our recap of marketing, whether it's in person or virtual, there's no perfect way. There's no foolproof plan. The things that I've learned is that variety is important as opposed to a single tactic. Like posting on social isn't a strategy. That's a single tactic. It's a part of those puzzle pieces we saw earlier. You can always ask for help. You should accept help if someone offers to help get the word out about your event. You should stay true to yourself. If you're nervous, it's okay. But if your gut says no, then maybe don't do it, at least not yet. Learn, evolve, adapt, and grow as part of the process. People are more likely to take action when they're excited or they're fully interested, like teasing your next event at the current event. They go, oh my gosh, I've had people say, can I register right now? And I'm like, I mean, if you want to, here's the link. I'm doing it literally sitting at the table after the class ended. All right, good for you. I'm going to recommend that you're kind and gracious and yet confident, believing in yourself because it's true that even if your event is unusual for the area, unusual for you, you've never charged money before, whatever it is, do your thing. Do it with confidence. It is worth it. And people who get to come to that event are benefiting from you being willing to put yourself out there. Messaging rules. If you can use Facebook and Instagram Messenger or text messages, it's the most personal dialogue you can get. Email comes next. Social media posting and then groups are even less dialed in. The more direct you go, the more likely you're going to make a splash. Let's talk about some rules. You're not reaching out to be their best friend, right? You just want to know, are they coming to your event and do they have any questions? So if you can get to the point, stay on topic, make it easy. Here's the link to register. I'd love if you came. I need you to register in the next 3 days if it's going to happen. That kind of thing, right? You're nice about it, but you're very, very clear. You can start a conversation in a good, not creepy way, getting curious and getting personal. You can always ask them for their help. Make sure to say something up and up so you're not something like you're trying to ask them out unless you really are trying to ask them out. No judgment. Otherwise, make it very much about your event. This is clearly me coming to you about something I think you would enjoy that you may have said you're interested in already. All right, this is a lot to take in. Suffice to say, over the course of 4 weeks, I took all these steps. Most of them are posting. The Facebook event I set up, talking to people about the event, directly or with posts on social, a little bit of email, a little bit with the brewery. So this is from Rhythm and Brews in January 2024. Hey, I used some Facebook and Instagram posts that aren't here as well. Before we start to finish, I had 12 people come. I made $12 a person. That's $144 clear for the same stinking program that gets me 30 bucks at the gym. Maybe 32. And I know some other parts of the country don't make that much. It's worth it. It's worth the hustle in my experience, especially to get kind of a dialed in audience that knows how to rinse and repeat. And once you get them kind of on board, you communicate with them regularly, it's a lot easier to get them to come back and to bring a friend. All right, let's create a sample event. So we're going to start with why. Why? It's for profit. I want to make some money for a change because working at gym stinks. The event is going to be, what is it? It's going to include a strength training class plus a glass of wine. I'm calling it, ready for this? Weights and wine. Don't steal my ideas. Just kidding, you can. This is not a real event. Continuing on, who's going to be invited? Let's see a mix of existing clients and new ones, people I know and their friends and referrals, and hopefully also winery customers, because I'm going to ask a winery, which is my next thing, to help me promote it in person and on their socials and email list. Where? At the local winery, let's say Saddle Hill in Voorhees, in their outdoor gazebo with the party room as a backup. I've never been to Saddle Hill. I hear it's really nice. I'm trying to get over there soon. When? Let's say it's Saturday, October 18th, 3 p.m., because they open at 4. We'll do it for the hour before they open. And finally, how much am I going to charge per person? And listen, this next example is more complicated than any event I've ever done before, but I wanted to make it kind of like a thing. Here we go. 20 bucks per person. That includes the class and the glass of wine. $10 goes to me, $10 goes to the venue for their wine, and $1 tip per person. So $9 for the wine, $1 per tip per glass poured. The venue charges $50. So if I have at least 10 people registered a day in advance, there's going to be $100 coming my way. The venue charged me $50 for a fee to rental. So I'm getting $50. If I can get more than 10, I can make more money. I start making a reasonable amount of profit. I want to make at least, like I said, I like to make at least double. I want to have at least $60 if I can, 70 if possible. So for me, 10 people, really 12 is where I want to be. But 10, if I don't have 10, I'm going to cancel. Maybe if I have 9, I'm going to consider it, but I'm going to get close. Finally, RSVP or other details to wrap up we did earlier. I'm going to use Eventbrite. Advanced registration is required if I get to at least 10. After that, walk-ins or cash at the door is fine. They can Venmo me if they want to instead, if there's space. I'm going to be ages 21 and older to drink. Of course, 16 and older for the class. Bring your own weights and water and wear supportive sneakers. So if someone were to say to me, I hear you're holding an event. What's the deal? I want to be able to summarize the gist of it in just a few sentences so folks can decide whether or not they're interested in learning more. So this could be the caption I use for Facebook post or Instagram post. It could be something I put in my event that I set up on Facebook. It could be something I read, ideally reciting out loud in person. It could be something I use as a follow-up message in text messages or DMs, right? I'm going to write it once, tweak as much as I want to. I'm going to put in my little summary the event name, the date, the time, the cost, what's included, and the bare bones of what to expect. Here we go. Very basic summary. I'm thrilled to offer Weights and Wine in Saddle Hill in Voorhees on Saturday, October 18th at 3 p.m. Your $20 ticket includes a 45-minute, all levels friendly outdoor weight training class in the gazebo, followed by a glass of wine. I could add in the 16 plus to take the class. I could add in the bring your own weights and water, but this is like to get them thinking, am I interested in this? So I want to talk about it further. This is like bare bones. It's something I can rattle off top of my head now without stumbling. No ums. Well, like, it's really cool. And like, I think it's, no, it's over. You lost them. Why would they listen to somebody who mumbles and stumbles if they can listen to someone who's authoritative and confident? So here's what I'm going to offer. I'd love if you joined. Here's the deal. Other things that might come up as the next conversation, they could be FAQs. Even if no one's actually asking, you can totally be like, here's answers to some frequently asked questions. I've done that before. These things are all relevant. I'm not going to bring these up as the first conversation. This is the kind of thing to talk about later on when they want more information. Tell me more about it. That's when this stuff comes up. Answer my questions on the spot. I'm ready to do that right there, right away. All right. So with regards to the event you're considering planning or replanning, I'm going to ask you to take some time, maybe not right now, but sometime soon, to write down what you would say. I heard you're holding an event. What do you say next? Try to get into like 2 sentences with language that feels authentic to you, hitting those major details without going overboard as an initial contact. And then my next question would be, what's your next step? Well, if I were really planning weights and wine, which I probably should, that sounds like a fun event, I'd visit the winery this weekend and ask for the events manager or another decision maker. I'd email that person within a couple of days of visiting saying how much I loved being there. I enjoyed drinking their whatever wine. I enjoyed meeting their incredible staff, something honest, but very flattering. Because why not? Everybody likes being flattered. And they'd much rather work with a customer in most cases than work with somebody random who's like, I want to have an event there. Can I use you? Oh no, I'm a customer. I brought friends. We had a great time. I loved visiting your establishment. If no one answers within a week, I want to follow up with a phone call, maybe another visit, depending on what my schedule allows. Once agreed upon, so I'm on step 4 now. Once agreed upon, I'm going to create a ticket registration link. Send it out first to the people who come to my events all the time as like a VIP treatment. Guys, this is going live tomorrow, but you find out about it tonight. If you want to register right now, you got it. And maybe my 5th step is create a Facebook event public so people can find it. Create graphics for Facebook, Instagram, stories, and email, and start spreading the word everywhere. Recapping the benefits of fitness and yoga events: expand your audience, make more money, make fitness fun if that's your jam. It's my jam. Snag additional action photos and videos outside the gym, help another organization grow or a business to get stronger, reach new people, change more lives. There's probably others. There's a lot of reasons. And if you don't ever try it, you're not going to know how great it is. Here's staying in touch. You guys all know me, but if you wanted to stay in touch, here's some recent photos of mine. I love this picture in the top right. Talk about a photo out. I never got a photo like this at the gym, right? This is outside probably at a bar at the bar event. Yeah. So in my little bar at Boston, and it's just a great shot. And like, I wouldn't get that in the studio. See me with my husband, who I drugged to one of these events. There's me, then a little flight of beers, a recent rhythm or a roots class. And here's best friends day outside. So a lot of different ways to do events, a lot of fun opportunities to get out there and shake things up, meet more people, make more money, all the things. They don't all look the same. This next slide has a bunch of them from mostly breweries, a couple of gyms mixed in there, a couple of church things. So we could always do follow-up later on if we wanted to with thinking about waivers, capturing photos and videos, emailing new venues, what you say in a DM, Facebook event setup and maintenance, Canva basics, maybe using AI, not my thing. Somebody else could certainly come talk to us about that. How to name your events, practicing, talking and writing and speaking about your special events. But for tonight, that's what I have. I'm going to stop the recording. If you have any questions here live, let's do it. If you're on the recording, you're welcome to email me with any questions you have or send me a message, of course, on social media. Put my contact information back up here. If you have my phone number, you can always text me. Of course, if you don't, I'm not giving it out right now. Thank you for joining. I look forward to hearing about your special events, and I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day. Take care.